7, 8, and 9, they want you to convert a fraction to a decimal. Just to remind you again, fractions are really division problems. 1 divided by 6. So I'm taking the 1 on the inside, I'm dividing it by 6. So I'm adding my decimal point and some zeros. It says round to the nearest hundredth, so there'd be to the hundredth, one more spot for my rounding. And so in this case, 6 doesn't go into 1 since that's before the decimal. I'm going to put the 0 up there because it looks pretty. 6 goes into 10 one time, and I subtract and get 4. Bring down my 0. 6 goes into 40 6 times. 6 times 6 is 36, and I get a 4 again and bring down my 0. 6 goes into 40 6 times again, which is 36, and I don't need to keep going because I can round it off. Since there's a 6 behind there, I'm going to round that off to 0.17 as to what 1/6 is equivalent to. So on my calculator, I'm going to do 1 divided by 6, and I get 1.66666666, which I rounded off to 0.17. So number 8 says convert the fraction 3/5 to a decimal. It means 3 divided by 5. So the 3 is on the inside and the 5 is on the outside. I put my decimal point. I want to round it to the nearest hundredth. So tenths, hundredths, and one more place for rounding. 5 doesn't go into 3, so I'm going to put a 0 up there. 5 goes into 36 times. 5 times 6 is 30, and I get a 0. Which tells me I'm going to have a 0 and a 0, so when I round that off, I'm just going to have 0.60. When it says round to the nearest hundredth, they do like you to show that hundredth spot. Instead of saying 6/10, we have 60 hundredths. So 3 divided by 5 on my calculator, I get 0.6, but I have the 0 there to show that I did go to the hundredth spot. Number 9, convert 3/8 to a decimal. So again, that means 3 divided by 8. And so the 3's on the inside, the 8's on the outside. I add my decimal, and I want to go to the nearest hundredth again, and one more place for rounding. 8 doesn't go into 3, so they're going to put a 0 in there. 8 goes into 30 3 times. 3 times 8 is 24, so I get 6 left over. 8 goes into 60. 7 times 8 is 56, so I get a 4. Bring down my 0. 8 goes into 40 5 times. I do get 40, but I need to round it to the nearest hundredth. Since there's a 5 or higher behind that, 0.38 is where I'm going to round that off to. So 3 divided by 8, you get 0.375, which to the nearest hundredth, 0.38.